live and on your side. This is KTBS 3 9 o'clock News Hour on KPXJ CW21.
Now at 9, the president addresses the nation. Will he take the advice of his military commanders on the questions of Afghanistan?
Still wondering about the eclipse? Well, don't worry. We won't keep you in the shade much longer. These kids will explain what happened.
And a stranger gets a tip and calls police. It ended up saving a baby's life. Tonight, more on that rescue from beside the freeway.
And a good Monday evening to you all. I'm John Dupree.
And I'm Nate Fluharty. We appreciate you joining us this evening.
The soldier understands what we as a nation too often forget, that a wound inflicted upon a single member of our community is a wound inflicted upon us all. When one part of America hurts, we all hurt.
Developing tonight, President Trump has declared that U.S. troops will continue fighting in Afghanistan.
This, he says, to avoid the, quote, predictable and unacceptable results of a rapid withdrawal from the country where the U.S. has been at war for 16 years. The president just wrapping up his primetime address to the nation. He says that his original instinct was to pull out, alluding to his long-expressed view before becoming president that Afghanistan was an unsolvable quagmire requiring a fast U.S. withdrawal.
Since taking office, Trump said he'd be determined that approach could create a vacuum that terrorists, including al-Qaeda, and the Islamic State could instantly fill. There are more than 8,000 American forces right now in Afghanistan. At its peak, the U.S. had roughly 100,000 forces there. Under the Obama administration in 2010 and 2011, President Trump is insisting, quote, in the end, we will win. Continuing coverage tonight on the Great American Eclipse. For the first family, they took a peek at the solar eclipse this afternoon at the White House. But at one point, reports say President Trump broke the rules and looked at the sun without eclipse glasses. Trump did eventually put on the protective eyewear, as did First Lady Melania Trump. What their son Barron got in on the action as well.
3, 2, 1.
And right here at home, a lot of people gathering at the Bossier Parish Library at the Took Branch in Elm Grove to view what some are calling the eclipse of the century. Those who attended received a pair of eclipse viewing glasses along with making solar nature prints and UV bead bracelets. We also got a little astronomy lesson today. 11-year-old Ben taught us the difference between a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse.
Lunar eclipse, I think it's where Earth's shadow is on the moon and it turns red. Solar is moon blocking sun.
Attaboy, Ben. A lot of kids have been paying attention in class. Smart guy.
I'd say so. And speaking of astronomy, history was made today with the largest astronomy class ever. University Elementary was the site of a new record for the Guinness books. One teacher turned an eclipse watch party into a 30-minute astronomy lesson. More than 1,000 teachers, students, and parents covered the school grounds to watch the much-anticipated solar eclipse and learn more about it as well. The goal was to beat the Guinness World Record for the largest astronomy lesson, and they succeeded. A parent and a son say they were glad to experience it together.
When I looked up there, at first you can actually see a little piece of the sun peeking through, and then the moon starting to cover it up a little bit, and then after a certain amount it moves over a little bit more.
I thought about it was like a banana.
How about that? The record for the largest astronomy lesson was 1,109. Today, University Elementary beat that with 1,334 people. Well done.
Congratulations all. Okay, Texarkana, Arkansas School District. The solar eclipse, a rare educational opportunity. Due to safety concerns over eye damage, school administrators took precautionary measures here as well, protecting students, requiring approved-only eclipse glasses and signing permission slips from parents. That's the only way to get to do this. Trice Elementary students also given a safety course and a history lesson from an astronomy professor at Texarkana College.
For us, it blocks out part of the sun, but if you're in a certain place, you can see it fully cover it.
It's 99 years that it hasn't happened. That's very cool that in another 7 years it's going to happen again.
How smart are these guys, huh? Several students also had the opportunity to view a live stream of the event provided by none other than NASA.
And our viewers stepped up in a big way today. Here's a look at some of those solar eclipse photos that were sent in. This first one from Blair Lowry. How about that? The next one is from Chiquita Francis from Shreveport. And check out this one from Jan Dome. And another one from Katie Tillman. Nice shot there. You can see it poking from behind the clouds. We want to thank each and every one that sent in their pictures today. For more coverage on the eclipse, you can log on right now to ktbs.com.
If you missed this eclipse, the next one will be in the year 2024. We'll see you then and there. April 8th is the day. In the United States, the path of totality begins in southwest Texas and ends in eastern Maine. Hello, Joe.
Hey, John, this picture came from Golden, Colorado. My son Joey with a cell phone and a little filter there. About a little over 90% coverage there. And you know, today's eclipse kept our temperature down a little bit. In fact, it cooled down some during the eclipse here in Shreveport. Normally temperatures will continue to rise into the afternoon, but we had a little dip there right around 1 o'clock. And about 1:17, that's when we had kind of an afternoon minimum, you might say, in temperatures. Made it into the 80s at that time when we've been in the 90s. Currently looking at a few isolated showers and a few thunderstorms down to our south, but nothing really in the area at this time. 82 our current temperature, so we've cooled down a little bit from earlier today. Tomorrow, well, we start out about 78. We'll be at 96 in the afternoon, 10% chance of rain, very humid forecast. There are some changes coming to our forecast future, and we'll discuss those in detail in just a few minutes concerning rain. Back to you, John.
All right, thanks a lot, Joe.
Or Nate,
appreciate that. Hey, no big deal. Appreciate it. Moving on now to the crime beat. In a story of survival, a 2-month-old baby back in his mom's arms tonight after going missing for several hours. This Minden mom, Shamisha Thomas, says a longtime family friend took her baby and left him under the Highway 371 bridge. Kashawn Wilson, now charged with aggravated kidnapping. Police say he tells them he did it because God told him to. They say he took Elijah Thomas just past midnight. The child wasn't found until after 6 this morning.
When they told me the individual that was involved, you know, it was at least expected because, you know, he was like family to us.
Since I knew who it was, I was hoping maybe he just was in somebody's house and he fell asleep or something. You know, like, I wasn't thinking worst case scenario because I knew who it was. And he been around like 6-7 years.
Kashawn Wilson was booked into Shreveport's jail, then transported back to Minden, where he's been questioned by police. We'll keep you updated.
We have a strange story out of Webster Parish tonight for you. No charges filed against a 7-year-old child who shot his aunt twice Friday for not feeding him. Webster Parish Sheriff Gary Sexton gave us this story. Sexton says that although the child's actions do show intent, the law cannot form intent. The child, who is not named because of his age, retrieved a lever-action .22 caliber rifle from a gun cabinet, say authorities, got a box of shells, loaded the gun, and shot his aunt, Amanda Gibson. He reloaded the gun and fired a second time, Sexton told us. The child's mother had already given up custody of her son. The aunt's condition not known at this time. Still on the crime beat tonight, where the Caddo Correctional Center had quite the admission earlier today. Rapper Mystikal, whose real name is Michael Tyler, turned himself in after DNA evidence collected from a rape back in October allegedly matched that of Tyler. He was charged with 1 count of rape and his bond set at $1 million. Mystikal, his rapper name. I'm told the case is far from over, and investigators are urging anyone with information on this crime that happened near Clyde Fant Memorial Parkway to call the Crime Stoppers hotline.
Still ahead in your KTBS 3 9 o'clock news hour.
A murder ×2 in Little Rock, and the victims, both children.
And police catch a man suspected of trying to plant explosives under a Confederate monument. Your news state by state is next.
He says, okay, I'm going to send you $2,200. The check shows up at $6,847. I knew immediately it was a scam.
A con artist hopes to find a victim in the Oclitex. 3 Investigates exposes the scam and shows you how to protect yourself. Wednesday at 10.
Checking news state by state tonight at 9, where we start in Arkansas.
Police still trying to figure out What exactly led a man to reportedly kill 2 small children inside a Little Rock home, then kill himself? Investigators found the bodies this morning here in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Something was going on over there all the time, and I always would say, I hate that those kids are involved in it.
A nightmare of a discovery in a fairly quiet Little Rock neighborhood. A mother returns home to find 3 bodies, including her 2 children, ages 4 and 5. Moments later, neighbors hear the woman cry out on Birchwood Drive, "He killed my babies." Investigators say a 39-year-old man inside the home killed the children, then killed himself.
I do not know if he's the biological father of the kids yet. We do not know that at this time.
Neighbors recall a history of violence at the home.
There's always stuff that goes on at that house, but nothing ever like this before. It's usually just, calling the cops because the husband and wife were fighting. And the kids weren't, I don't think they were ever involved in any of it, but I didn't know them that well.
Actually, I seen them fighting before because I had walked home from school, and on Friday they were fighting.
Little Rock Police Chief Kenton Buckner describes responding to the scene of the murder-suicide as tough for his officers.
When you have the kids who are incapable of protecting themselves be the victim of something this heinous, it's very, very frustrating. It's mentally tough on our officers and civilians on this scene, many of which who are parents.
Now investigators work to figure out what led to the killings and how each person died.
We've made calls to this home before in the past, domestic related, but it is unsure what events occurred that resulted in this.
Once on the scene, Chief Buckner also stressed for those in domestic violence situations to please ask for help and get out.
Now we go to Houston, Texas for our next story. A Houston man accused of trying to plant explosives at a Confederate memorial is in custody. Andrew Schneck was charged with attempting to maliciously damage or destroy property receiving federal financial assistance. Court documents say a park ranger saw Schneck kneeling in the bushes in front of the General Dowling Monument at Herman Park, holding 2 small boxes that contained duct tape, wires, and a timer.
I don't have any information on specific chemicals. We just know that there's some significant hazardous materials within the objective, and out of an abundance of caution, we want to make sure everybody is safe.
Authorities have since been searching Schneck's home, which was the subject of a similar search 4 years ago, when federal agents went in looking for materials that could be used to make nerve gas or tear gas. Schneck's next court appearance scheduled for Thursday.
Well, thousands of students across Texarkana, Texas Independent School District, they are heading back to school for the very first day. And they did so today. First day class for West Lawn Elementary School start off the school year off on a high note after receiving more than $5 million in state grant money last May. The funds will be used to help increase the number of students reading on several grade levels. School officials say they've also had an increase in enrollment with about 345 students in grades 3 through 5.
Our theme this year is Lights, Camera, Leadership in Action. We are a Leader in Me school, as you can see behind me. That is our banner to show that we are following the principles of Stephen Covey, which is the 7 habits of highly effective people.
Texarkana, Texas ISD has more than 7,000 students district-wide with 9 elementary schools, 2 secondary schools, and 1 alternative school.
And it was love at first sight for the LSU Tigers. The class headed back to campus this week in Baton Rouge. Or you could say there were countless smitten kittens on campus. It was day 1 of school for all the Tigers of LSU, including the furriest ones.
The chancellor had wanted for Mike the Tiger to come to school as a freshman with the incoming freshman class.
That's right. This morning, LSU named 11-month-old Harvey Mike the 7th. This morning, the cute, cuddly cat, cute and cuddly, right?
Yeah.
Broke in his new home. Mike the 7th donated from a sanctuary in Florida, so the animal is used to the heat. He has an AC rock. It blows cool air, so he'll keep cool while he's sort of on display for the kids.
That's a big recruit for them.
Absolutely.
Big pickup.
Yes, indeed.
So, coming your way, a check on your world headlines tonight.
The suspect in the Barcelona car attack hunted down.
And London's landmark silenced. What is happening to Big Ben? We have some answers on the other side of the break.
Now, KTBS 3 News continues.
Authorities hunt down the suspect in that fatal car attack on the streets of Barcelona, and Big Ben goes silent.
Those stories and more as we take you around the world in 90 seconds.
The suspected driver of the van that plowed through crowds last week in Barcelona is now dead. That, according to a tweet from the Catalan police. Yanez Abouyacoub, a 22-year-old Moroccan national, was killed during an operation in Subirats. One woman has died, another injured after a van rammed into two separate bus stops in Marseille, France. Police say the driver has been arrested in the city's Old Port district. It's unclear whether the driver's actions were deliberate. The driver is known to authorities for acts of minor delinquency. The van was removed from the scene. The Navy-guided missile destroyer USS John S. McCain was on a routine port visit when it crashed with a merchant vessel. 5 others injured in the collision. 4 of those were flown to a hospital in Singapore with injuries that were not considered life-threatening. The people of Sierra Leone are pleading for help after last week's devastating mudslides. The death toll has risen to nearly 500, and hundreds more are still missing. Thousands of survivors are now displaced. Britain's Big Ben chimed for the last time this morning before undergoing major conservation work. One of the most famous landmarks in England has kept time in London for 157 years. The Big Ben will remain mostly silent for the next 4 years, except for special occasions such as New Year's Eve and Remembrance Sunday. That's a look at news around the world in 90 seconds.
The Arklatex finally gets a break from the heat.
Didn't last long, though. Only about an hour or so while the moon helped. But the big question is, how hot will things be for the rest of your work week? We get some answers right after the break.
Now with Mega 3 and your Storm Team forecast, here's meteorologist Joe Haynes in the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab.
Well, good evening, folks. Let's talk about your local weather. Hope you had a nice day and got to see that just incredible astronomical sight. If you didn't, it'll be 7 more years before you will. And that actually may be a better sight to see, but nonetheless, it was quite awesome here today. 93 to high, 74 to low. Our temperature slowed down just a bit, or heating, or however you want to call it, because the sun was behind the clouds, or actually behind the clouds for a little bit of time, of course, behind the moon there during the eclipse. Our rainfall, we didn't have any in Shreveport-Bossier. We're still doing really good for the month of August, the driest month of the year. For the year, though, we're still behind schedule there. But we'll probably play a little makeup or catch up as the week goes along here, as we'll talk about in a moment. 80 our current temperature in Texarkana. You got the lower 80s in Shreveport, Minden. Ruston's at 78. Marshall's also there in the 70s. And down south, Toledo Benway, rain cooled 76 from earlier there in Natchitoches. Lower 80s from Mansfield on over towards Center and Nacogdoches. Had a little bit of rain earlier. Now it's kind of falling apart, and the general trend will be for all the shower and thunderstorm activity that was going on down south to go away. Nothing happening northern sections along I-20. Had one little shower roll up along Lake Bistineau there, dissipated. A couple of showers there, and still got some thunderstorms down there, Alexandria. But again, the general trend will be for that activity to dissipate. So the chance of any measurable rain for tonight is just not there around the Arklatex. Most likely we'll just do some clearing later on. And then a slight possibility that we'll have some rain for tomorrow. It's not a washout, though, as we go on into your Tuesday. As for clouds, well, most of them going away, at least for much of the night. Some will redevelop, some patchy fog possible, too, tomorrow morning, especially if you saw some rain today. And then scattered clouds by lunchtime, isolated showers and thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon, southern and northern and western sections kind of away from the Arklatex. Not a great chance that you'll see measurable rain for tomorrow. So another dry day, although dry in the sense of not receiving much in the way of rainfall, but a very muggy day, though. 77 low tonight, just clearing and humid. For tomorrow, about 96. Partly cloudy, hot and humid, only about a 10% chance. Some showers and thunderstorms that will leave puddles around your location. Rain chance increasing for Wednesday, 30% odds, high of 94. 50% chance there for Thursday, high of 89. May see another round of showers and thunderstorms as we march on into the weekend. May keep our temperatures down below 90 degrees, but keep that humidity around, and they'll still be as muggy as ever. But hey, we'll take the rain. That's a beautiful thing this time of year, especially if you've been in these parts for a long time. We usually don't see rain until about October. So,
really? Okay.
Yeah. Dry grass out there.
Very dry, yeah.
We'll take it.
Thanks,
That'll cool
Joe.
us off. Even for a day, man.
Yeah.
It makes all the difference. Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
Still ahead in your KTBS 3 9 o'clock news hour.
Yeah, we're hooping it up tonight. The question, does Shreveport-Bossier have what it takes to score a pro basketball team? Tonight, we find out.
And Bill Cosby shakes up his legal team as he heads back to court. Stay right there.
Now, KTBS 3 News continues.
All right, New Orleans has its Pelicans, Dallas has its Mavericks, but what about Shreveport-Bossier? Do the River Cities have what it takes to host pro basketball? That's what some folks are hoping for, and they're trying to build a team of marketers to make it happen. Nate attended a meeting at Government Plaza where that very topic was addressed. So Nate, will these future stars of the NBA hoop it up anytime soon in Shreveport?
Well, John, that's certainly the hope. And tomorrow, we're going to know much more about how the city of Shreveport plans to make all that happen. But first things first, you have to find the money. Earlier this evening, Shreveport Mayor Ollie Tyler announced that they're still in the early stages of securing that funding and looking for all possible options. One of those may be the use of bonds. But the plan itself may also include the construction of a brand new sports complex where this team would play.
Council resolution will not commit any dollars at this time towards the project. It only allows the city to explore financial options available through the sale of future revenue bonds to finance the sports complex.
Now, we've also learned the RFT, which is the city of Shreveport's proposal for this, has been submitted to the New Orleans Pelicans organization. Already in the works, John. So tomorrow we're going to be at that press conference that's been scheduled to announce more details on this plan, including the private partners and where a lot of this funding for this project is obviously going to come from.
Yeah, that's, you don't do anything without money first. Okay, Nate, thanks. We know you'll keep us focused on that story. That press conference scheduled for 3 p.m. at Government Plaza. Stay with KTBS as we keep you updated on the push to bring an NBA G League team to the Shreveport-Bossier area. The former entertainer Bill Cosby has hired 3 new attorneys for his retrial, including one who won an acquittal for Michael Jackson. Cosby's publicist said the comedian's new attorneys are Tom Mesereau, Kathleen Bliss, and Sam Silver. Mesereau is known for representing Jackson in his sexual molestation case. Cosby was tried in June on 3 charges of aggravated indecent assault. His retrial begins November 6th. An explosion in Florida killed more than a dozen dogs, charred 2 homes, and left 1 man hospitalized with severe burns. Officials say 2 houses that did not have power were sharing a generator for electricity. Now, according to investigators, the explosion was a result of improper refueling of the generator. Emergency crews airlifted the victim to a hospital where he's now listed in critical condition.
My neighbor ran out of the house, was running across our yard and was yelling, "Please put water on me, because he got burnt down his side. It was our bedrooms that the fire hit, so all of our clothes, toys, beds, my father's ashes, everything was on that side of the house.
No one nearby was injured. 3 dogs were rescued. All but 1 of the dogs killed were kept at one of the houses.
Officials say a judge was heard in a shooting outside an Ohio courthouse earlier this morning. According to the Steubenville city manager, one of the 2 suspects is dead. The other has been arrested. It appears to have been an ambush shooting taking place as the judge was walking from his car outside of his courthouse. Judge Braziz returned fire, as did a probation officer. And officials believe the officer struck the suspect.
If any judge could do it, he could. He's an avid sportsman, a hunter. He loves with guns, hunts, deer hunting, pheasant hunting, duck hunting. I mean, he's a sportsman. And I urged him years ago to carry a gun. If you're sitting on a bench, you have to carry a gun because there's so many nutcases out there that want retaliation, you know.
This all stems from an earlier case involving 2 Steubenville football players. Emergency responders airlifted the judge to a Pittsburgh hospital.
A Texas woman with a prosthetic leg says a clothing store in Dallas turned her away from a handicapped dressing room. Jeff Paul has the story. All right, we'll try to bring you that story a little bit later in this broadcast.
In the meantime, coming up next on KTBS News at 9, your Health Watch.
All right, why most mothers ignore the standard advice about tucking in their babies.
Pretty important stuff. We'll have more on that for moms and why one woman suffering from ovarian cancer wins a court victory over one of the world's largest companies. We'll tell you about that next at 9.
Now, with the latest developments in the world of medicine, this is Health Watch 3.
Well, for nearly a quarter century, experts have been telling parents to put their newborns to sleep on their backs. The reason? It reduces the chances of sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS, and other sleep-related deaths, such as suffocation, according to the CDC. But after a years-long effort to raise awareness, not even half of mothers in the U.S., we find, follow the advice all the time. That, according to a study published Monday in the medical journal Pediatrics. It found that just more than 43% of U.S. moms report they both intend to and always do use the preferred method. A woman has won a multi-million-dollar lawsuit claiming the talc in Johnson & Johnson's baby powder causes ovarian cancer. Now, according to the Washington Post, Ava Echeverria said in court that she had been using the powder since the 1950s and was diagnosed with ovarian cancer in 2007. Echeverria's attorneys say she wanted to get the word out to help other women. Johnson & Johnson spokeswoman Carol Goodrich says the company will appeal the verdict. She says the company sympathizes with ovarian cancer patients, but insisted science supports the safety of Johnson's baby powder. Nate?
All right, John, thanks for that health news. A Texas woman with a prosthetic leg says a clothing store in Dallas turned her away from a handicapped dressing room. Jeff Paul has the story.
Danny DeRoos is still getting used to it.
It's hard. It hurts. There's a lot of pain.
A motorcycle wreck a little more than a year ago left her with one leg.
Don't like getting reminded that I'm handicapped a lot.
But on Tuesday, her new reality hit her hard.
I just wanted, to go buy some pants and feel normal.
Danny says she asked an employee at this Nordstrom rack at Park Lane for the handicap stall to try on a few items. She needs a bench to sit down.
The woman told me it was reserved for mothers with strollers, and I asked her, since it wasn't occupied and it does have a handicap sign, if I might use it, and she still told me no.
The two went back and forth, but the worker wouldn't budge.
There's a handicap sign, and I didn't know that that meant women with babies.
Eventually, she says another employee noticed the exchange and let her inside the dressing room.
When you got to sit there and explain and kind of beg for it, it just makes it feel, you feel a lot more disabled or a lot more different, not so normal.
Danny says no one in the store seemed to care about her experience. So we reached out to Nordstrom, which sent us a statement apologizing, saying we take this very seriously. We are continuing to look into this incident and are addressing it with our teams.
It is a sensitive thing and people shouldn't have to explain it.
Danny doesn't want sympathy, pity, or apologies. She just wants it to never happen again to anyone, anywhere.
Be kind. You never know what someone's going through.
Some good advice right there. Danny said the store manager apologized to her in an email. After the break in your KTBS 3 9 o'clock news hour,
Joe's going to come back along and give us another look at the forecast.
They say it's unsafe. Well, why isn't it being fixed?
This spillway was once a popular spot for fishermen, but no more.
The Cypress Flag Bayou Board made the decision to start running people off from there.
TW Star goes in depth to get answers Wednesday at 4. Now with Mega 3 and your Storm Team forecast. Here's meteorologist Joe Haynes in the Storm Team 3 Weather Lab.
All right, folks, welcome back. Let's talk about your local weather. Actually, first, let's just another couple pictures of that incredible eclipse today. This came from Grand Teton National Park. Charles Hadlock used to work here a number of years ago. It doesn't look as good as it appeared earlier, but check it out. This is what it looked like. Looked like dark out there. Isn't that amazing? Of course, they had 100%. Wow. That was just incredible, but nonetheless, we had a pretty good shot of it too here. All right, moving on, 93 to high, 74 the low, 72 to 94. That is a typical range for this time of year, so a little bit cooler today due to the sun being blotted out there for a short period of time. Rainfall for the month, we're doing quite well. For the year, we're still behind, but We may actually play a little catch-up over the next coming days, as we'll discuss in just a moment. Rain cooled in the eastern areas, 76 in Ruston and Natchitoches, 80s elsewhere, including Shreveport, Texarkana, all the Marshall area looking at 82. Here's a few of the weather watchers. Bill Galligan over in Toledo Bend Country, 93 his afternoon temperature, and Jason Patterson up in Atlanta. He also made a maximum reading today on his thermometer, 93 degrees. So the rain's starting to fall apart down to our south and east, and the general trend will be for the precipitation to go away, and we'll just have a muggy night. Nothing along Highway 82 or I-30 corridor up toward 259, all dry there, and a little bit farther south, I-20 corridor and all the roads in between looking dry. And Toledo Bend Country, things are improving for you. So the chance of any more rain redeveloping tonight, the chance is quite low. For tomorrow, it's still a minimal chance that we'll have any measurable rain across the Arklatex. Only 20% odds, mainly northern and western sections and southern and eastern areas. Here's precision cast, so the clouds breaking up and then patchy fog late with a few clouds. Then we get into tomorrow, some of those clouds will boil up and give us a few isolated showers and storms by afternoon. And then that's pretty much it, although northern section is close to a weak frontal boundary coming down, but not much rain anticipated here. So looks like a relatively dry forecast for tomorrow, but things do change for the midweek. High of 96, only about a 10% chance of rain for tomorrow, 30% odds on Wednesday, 50% chance there on Thursday. Increased cloud cover and a better chance of rain may keep those temperatures down in the 80s there for about Thursday time frame and possibly even over the weekend. But it'll still be quite muggy out there.
Okay.
So,
all right.
A little humid, but not too bad.
Well, a little bit of rain will help. Always does.
That'll help a lot.
Yep.
All right.
Great.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Joe. Coming your way in the next few minutes.
Yeah, the moon had everybody talking. It was really the star today, but aside from the other star in the sky, the sun. We'll talk about that next.
Nice tease, Nate. Well done.
Now, KTVS 3 News continues.
All eyes in the U.S. on the sun and the moon today.
And CNN's Jeannie Moos sheds some light on the most oddball clips from this eclipse.
Silly glasses, who cares? Everyone from Superman to President Trump donned them.
There it is! It is incredibly dark. It's very eerie. It's a spooky, spooky experience. I may be speechless.
I see a shadow covering the Earth. It was the blanket news coverage of the eclipse.
Totality now arriving. So happy I could cry. I'm a little breathless. That was our 2 minutes of ecstasy.
Coverage ranged from the couple that found ecstasy getting married during the eclipse.
Two hearts aligned today.
To the Washington Post live streaming the eclipse's effect on fainting goats. When scared, they sometimes do this, but during the eclipse,
They almost just didn't move.
Bonnie Tyler sang her signature song on an eclipse cruise.
Can you stare into a total eclipse of the heart without glasses?
Look into my heart. I wear it on my sleeve.
People sure were scared into wearing those glasses.
You're not supposed to stare right at the sun unless you hate your eyes.
That's concentrated energy that can not only burn your glasses, it can also burn your eye.
When it was over, The Guardian pranked readers with a How to Tell If You Damaged Your Eyes article that was intentionally blurry. Outside the path of totality, that's it though? The 71% eclipse in New York City was underwhelming.
I think it's cooler to watch the people watching it.
Especially people using oddball boxes.
You still see it?
No. Does it work better if it's organic?
I think it does.
And though the president's glasses worked, that didn't stop him from glancing up without them, landing him on the cover of the New York Daily News. This newborn was named Eclipse. Others were dressed in Eclipse outfits. And NASA released a photo of the International Space Station silhouetted against the sun, which was, of course, then photoshopped from Chris Christie to E.T. During the last solar eclipse over North America in 1979, a network anchor spoke of the next one.
That's 38 years from now. May the shadow of the moon fall on a world at peace.
There was no peace, even from cars this time around.
Can you hear the car alarm? Apparently the car is excited about the eclipse as well.
Jeannie Moos, New York.
I think underwhelming may have been the best.
Yeah, I agree. Know who that ABC News anchor was?
Who's that?
Frank Reynolds. That's when news anchors talk like this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you bet. Hey, man, we witnessed history today, whether you thought it was the end of the world or not. Yeah, we're all going to be around in 7 years to watch it again.
I hope so.
And you stick around. You're watching the KTBS 3 9 o'clock news hour. We won't go dark on you.
Now, KTBS 3 Sports with Tatum Everett.
Did he remember the Chargers playbook? That's what Saints defensive end Cam Jordan said about the way that former San Diego linebacker Manti Te'o performed in their preseason victory last night. The offseason acquisition recorded 8 tackles, 7 solo, a sack, and a fumble recovery. After that outing, against his former team, Te'o earned the starting middle linebacker role for the black and gold, and he said last night's showing was a step in the right direction.
Obviously, there's a little extra meaning to the game, but I think, I was really happy with myself and how I handled it. I think a young guy would come in here, anxious and trying to do too much. I think I kind of just let the game come to me, and when I had the opportunity to make a play, I made the play for my team, and I didn't step out of my comfort zone. I didn't try to do too much, and I can build from that and get better.
Next up for the Saints, they return to the Superdome for a preseason contest against the Texans. Well, no team in the Arklatex went through more change this offseason than Booker T. Washington and Fair Park. The two schools were consolidated, so some players were dealing with new teammates while others were dealing with new coaches. Alex Anderson shows us how the two groups are transitioning into one in this countdown to Friday Football Fever preview.
Mike Green has been coaching football in the Arklatex for a long time, but he's never experienced an off-season quite like this one.
It's been crazy. It's almost like, when you first get your coaching job, and it's been a whirlwind.
Earlier this year, Green's old school, Fair Park, was merged with Booker T. Washington, turning the Lions and Indians into teammates.
I look at it, it's almost like, I guess, the pro teams do every year. You have the guys you get drafted and the ones that retire or get cut. So, I guess you're getting a little taste of how it is up there.
It was different, but you gotta learn how to be around other people. But it's nice. I like meeting new people and my bros now.
I was kind of just getting used to being there, and having to come to a whole nother school, learn new faces. I thought it would be challenging, but when I got here, I was ready to play.
We're gonna come together as a family and go hard in district, trying to win all.
What about Coach Green, man? How helpful has he been?
Oh man, Coach Green, that's my boy. Coach Green, cool.
As you know, there is a ton of history and pride surrounding Booker T. Washington High School, and some of the Lions that have been in this area their entire lives are doing their part to teach their new teammates about the tradition of their new home.
This school been here for a long time. My daddy graduated in 1995 as a quarterback here. So what I think is it's a more historic school that we need.
When you playing the Soul Bowl, the Soul Bowl been around a long time. Before I was even born,
They want to win. They want the same thing we want, so it'll be good. I think it's historic.
You don't realize, wearing a BTW shirt, the people that you see, and the alumni is huge, and I'm getting phone calls of people excited about the season. You just don't want to disappoint.
One of Green's biggest issues in the past few years was depth, with many of his players rarely leaving the field during games. But after combining two teams, that won't be a problem anymore. Covering Booker T. Washington on our countdown to Friday Football Fever, I'm Alex Anderson.
Thank you, Alex. You can find every single one of our high school previews under the Friday Football Fever tab at ktbs.com. And don't forget, we do kick off the Fever this week at 10:35 right here on KPXJ with all of your jamboree and scrimmage action, as well as some more previews of the season. It all begins in just 5 days. So around this moment, I know we're going to be seeing football. The guys are going to be out there, and we're going to have a full hour-long show for you. So
that is so cool.
Should be a lot of fun.
It's so much, you know, as we get ready for this season, it's bringing so much opportunity. Some of the best movies for football. Remember the Titans?
Yeah.
There are always these schools that combine forces to create this
something?
awesome team.
That's a good point, Nate.
So I think, you know, for the fans especially, there's a lot to look forward to this year.
I think so. Yeah, out there at BTW, it sounds like it's going very well. And
Yeah.
like Coach Green says, they were playing in the same district, in the same classification, but they didn't have the depth they now have with the schools combining. So I think it'll be really interesting to see what he can do with more players who may not have to play both ways. So
This must be the toughest coaching challenge of his career, though, I'll bet.
I think so, but you know what? They always say coach is like a good challenge. So I think he's up for the task. He's been coaching. I think it's his 4th stop in Caddo Bossier Parish. So he's definitely an asset to the community, and I think you couldn't really pick anyone better for it. So.
All right, awesome.
5 more days to prepare. All right, thanks,
Here we go. All right, Joe, going to join us with one last look at the forecast today.
All right, clearing and humid for tonight, and temperatures will be generally in the 70s, mid-90s tomorrow, just hot and humid, and a very limited chance that we'll have any measurable rain. Rain odds may increase some of those. A couple of weather disturbances come to visit the Arklatex there. Wednesday and Thursday, the rain odds pick up, may keep us slightly cooler, although still quite muggy. And then a weak cold front may hang out nearby Saturday and Sunday. That'll possibly increase our rain chance at that time. So
I see 80s and 70s on your 7-day. That looks good, my friend.
No more eclipses. We've already had all those for the week.
Yeah, we're done for 7.
All righty, thanks a lot, Joe. And thank you for joining us tonight for KTBS 3 and your 9 o'clock news hour on KPXJ CW21.
We'll see you for the KTBS 3 News at 10. Switch it over there. Sean Gables joins me.